Imagine standing at the brink of a life filled with abundance and prosperity, yet there's an invisible barrier that keeps pushing you back. You pray, you work hard, and yet financial freedom seems like a distant dream. Today, we're going to uncover a profound truth that may be holding you back from the blessings you've been seeking. In the heart of your journey, amidst prayers and faith, there might lurk habits that are unknowingly blocking the flow of God's abundance into your life. These are not just habits. They are barriers that stand between you and the financial freedom you've been praying for. As believers, we are called to live a life of abundance, not just spiritually, but in all aspects, including our finances. But what if I told you that there are 7 habits deeply ingrained in our daily lives that might be the very reason God is holding back His blessings? Today, we dive deep into these habits, not to condemn, but to illuminate and guide. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and transformation, unlocking the doors to financial freedom and living the abundant life God has promised us. Habit 1. Lack of stewardship. Lack of stewardship, perhaps one of the most overlooked yet critical habits hindering financial freedom in the lives of many Christians. But what exactly does it mean to be a steward of God's resources? And how does this relate to our finances? To understand stewardship, we must first recognize that everything we have ultimately belongs to God. He is the creator and provider of all things, including our finances. As stewards, we are entrusted with managing these resources wisely and faithfully. Sadly, many of us fail in this responsibility. We neglect to budget, overspend, and accumulate debt without considering the consequences. We forget that every dollar we earn is a gift from God, intended to be used wisely for His purposes. Instead of being good stewards, we often succumb to societal pressures and consumerism, chasing after material possessions that leave us empty and discontented. We prioritize temporary pleasures over long-term financial security, neglecting the biblical principles of stewardship. In the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 2, we're reminded, "Moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found faithful." Faithfulness in stewardship involves managing our finances in a manner that honors God and reflects His values. Practical steps towards financial stewardship include creating a budget, living within our means, and avoiding unnecessary debt. It means being intentional with our spending, prioritizing needs over wants, and seeking God's guidance in all financial decisions. Furthermore, stewardship extends beyond managing our own finances. It includes generosity and giving. God calls us to be cheerful givers, blessing others with the resources He has entrusted to us. When we embrace the principles of stewardship, we experience the joy of giving and the fulfillment of being used by God to impact lives for His kingdom. Our hearts become aligned with His, and we become channels of His blessings to those in need. In conclusion, lack of stewardship is a habit that can significantly hinder God's blessings of financial freedom in our lives. But by embracing the call to be faithful stewards, we open ourselves up to a life of abundance, contentment, and purpose in God's kingdom. Now that we've explored the importance of stewardship in our financial lives, let's delve deeper into the second habit hindering financial freedom: neglecting tithing and giving. Neglecting tithing and giving, perhaps one of the most misunderstood habits when it comes to financial freedom. But why is tithing and giving so crucial for Christians, and how does it impact our relationship with God? Tithing, the act of giving a portion of our income to God, is deeply rooted in biblical principles. In the Old Testament, we see examples of tithing as a way for God's people to acknowledge His provision and sovereignty over their lives. However, in today's materialistic culture, the concept of tithing is often met with skepticism and resistance. Many Christians neglect this practice, viewing it as outdated or unnecessary in the modern world. Yet, in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10, God challenges His people, saying, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." By neglecting tithing, we not only deprive ourselves of the blessings God promises, but also hinder His work in advancing His kingdom. Tithing is an act of faith and obedience, a tangible expression of our trust in God's provision and faithfulness. Furthermore, tithing is not merely an obligation, but an opportunity to participate in God's redemptive work. Through our giving, we support ministries, missions, and outreach efforts that bring hope and transformation to lives around the world. In addition to tithing, generous giving is another essential aspect of financial stewardship. Jesus Himself teaches us the importance of giving sacrificially, saying, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." In conclusion, neglecting tithing and giving is a habit that can hinder God's blessings of financial freedom in our lives. But by embracing the principles of generosity and stewardship, we open ourselves up to a life of abundance, joy, and purpose in God's kingdom. Habit 3. Idolizing money. Idolizing money, a habit that subtly creeps into the hearts of many, hindering their path to financial freedom. But why is the pursuit of wealth often a stumbling block for Christians, and how does it affect our relationship with God? Money, though a necessary part of life, can easily become an idol when we prioritize it above everything else. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with messages equating success and happiness with material possessions. In the pursuit of wealth, we often sacrifice our time, energy, and even relationships, believing that financial success will bring fulfillment and happiness. Yet, as Christians, we are called to recognize that true fulfillment comes from our relationship with God, not from material possessions. Jesus warns us about the dangers of idolizing money, saying, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." When we idolize money, we place it above God in our lives, seeking security and satisfaction in wealth rather than in Him. Our hearts become consumed by greed, envy, and anxiety, leading us away from the abundant life that God desires for us. Furthermore, idolizing money can distort our priorities and values, causing us to neglect our spiritual growth, relationships, and service to others. We become enslaved to the pursuit of wealth, unable to experience the true freedom that comes from living in alignment with God's will. In contrast, when we prioritize God above all else and trust in His provision, we experience true freedom and contentment. We recognize that everything we have is a gift from Him to be used for His glory and the benefit of others. Idolizing money is a habit that can hinder God's blessings of financial freedom in our lives. But by placing our trust in God and seeking first His kingdom, we discover the true abundance and joy that come from living in obedience to His word. Habit 4. Fear and lack of faith. Fear and lack of faith, a common struggle that can hold us back from experiencing God's blessings of financial freedom. But why do we often allow fear to dictate our financial decisions? And how does it impact our relationship with God? Fear is a powerful emotion that can paralyze us, preventing us from stepping out in faith and trusting in God's provision. When faced with financial challenges or uncertainties, we may succumb to worry and anxiety, doubting God's ability to provide for our needs. Yet, as Christians, we are called to walk by faith, not by sight. We are reminded in Scripture that God is our provider and He cares for us deeply. Jesus Himself reassures us, saying, "Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes?" Matthew 6:25. Fear is often rooted in a lack of trust in God's promises. When we allow fear to control us, we limit God's ability to work in our lives and experience the fullness of His blessings. Furthermore, lack of faith can lead to missed opportunities for growth and blessings. Instead of trusting in God's guidance and timing, we may rely on our own understanding and limitations, closing ourselves off to the possibilities He has in store for us. Overcoming fear and cultivating faith requires intentional effort and reliance on God's strength. We must saturate our minds with His Word, meditate on His promises, and seek His guidance in prayer. When we choose to trust in God's provision and step out in faith, we discover that God is faithful to His promises and will never leave us nor forsake us. Fear and lack of faith are habits that can hinder God's blessings of financial freedom in our lives. But by surrendering our fears to Him and walking in faith, we experience the joy and peace that come from knowing He is in control. Habit 5. Neglecting skills and opportunities. Neglecting skills and opportunities, a habit that can hinder our journey toward financial freedom and personal growth. But why do we often overlook the importance of developing our abilities? And how does it impact our ability to thrive in God's plan for our lives? God has given each of us unique talents and abilities, but it's up to us to nurture and develop them. Neglecting to invest in our skills can limit our potential and hinder us from fulfilling our purpose in God's kingdom. Yet, many of us fall into the trap of complacency, choosing to remain in our comfort zones rather than seizing the opportunities that come our way. We may make excuses for not pursuing further education, training, or personal development, fearing failure or rejection. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 15, we're reminded, "The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it out." God calls us to be lifelong learners, continually seeking wisdom and knowledge to grow and excel in every area of our lives. Neglecting skills and opportunities not only hinders our personal growth, but also limits our ability to be effective stewards of God's resources. When we fail to develop our talents and seize the opportunities presented to us, we miss out on the blessings and impact God desires for us. Furthermore, neglecting skills and opportunities can hinder our ability to provide for ourselves and others financially. In today's ever-changing economy, it's essential to adapt and evolve, staying current with industry trends and technological advancements. When we prioritize personal growth and seize the opportunities God places before us, we position ourselves to thrive and fulfill our God-given potential. We become better equipped to serve others, steward our resources wisely, and impact the world for His glory. Neglecting skills and opportunities is a habit that can hinder God's blessings of financial freedom and personal fulfillment in our lives. But by embracing a mindset of growth and seizing the opportunities He provides, we step into the abundant life He has prepared for us. Habit 6. Living in debt. Living in debt, a pervasive habit that can ensnare many, trapping them in a cycle of financial bondage. But why do so many fall into the trap of debt? And how does it hinder our ability to experience God's blessings of financial freedom? Debt often seems like a quick fix for our financial needs and desires. We may justify borrowing money to maintain a certain lifestyle or to acquire possessions beyond our means. However, debt comes with a heavy cost, one that extends far beyond the financial realm. Living in debt not only places a strain on our finances, but also affects our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. The burden of debt can lead to stress, anxiety, and even marital conflicts, straining relationships and robbing us of peace and joy. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 7, we are warned, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." Debt enslaves us, limiting our freedom and preventing us from experiencing the abundance God desires for us. Furthermore, living in debt prevents us from being effective stewards of God's resources. Instead of using our finances to honor God and bless others, we find ourselves shackled to creditors, constantly working to pay off debts and interest payments. Breaking free from the bondage of debt requires discipline, sacrifice, and a willingness to live within our means. It may involve making difficult choices and prioritizing financial stewardship over instant gratification. When we commit to living debt-free, we experience the freedom and peace that come from trusting in God's provision. We rely on His wisdom and guidance to manage our finances wisely, honoring Him with our resources and living with integrity and contentment. Living in debt is a habit that can hinder God's blessings of financial freedom and abundance in our lives. But by surrendering our financial struggles to Him and committing to wise stewardship, we can break free from the bondage of debt and experience the fullness of His blessings. Habit 7. Failure to seek God's guidance. Failure to seek God's guidance, a habit that can lead to costly mistakes and missed opportunities in our financial journey. But why do we often neglect to involve God in our financial decisions? And how does it impact our ability to experience His blessings of financial freedom? In our fast-paced world, it's easy to rely on our own understanding and expertise when it comes to managing our finances. We may feel confident in our abilities and knowledge, believing that we can navigate the complexities of the financial world on our own. However, when we fail to seek God's guidance in our financial matters, we miss out on the wisdom and insight that He offers. God sees the bigger picture and knows what's best for us, both in the short term and the long term. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5-6, we're reminded, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." God invites us to trust Him completely and to acknowledge His sovereignty in every aspect of our lives, including our finances. Failure to seek God's guidance can lead to poor financial decisions, missed opportunities, and unnecessary hardships. We may find ourselves facing financial crises, overwhelmed by debt, or feeling trapped in unfulfilling jobs or investments. Furthermore, seeking God's guidance in our financial decisions is an act of humility and surrender. It requires us to acknowledge our limitations and to trust in His wisdom and provision. When we commit to seeking God's guidance in our financial matters, we open ourselves up to His blessings and provision. We experience peace, clarity, and confidence, knowing that He is leading us on the path to financial freedom and abundance. Failure to seek God's guidance is a habit that can hinder His blessings of financial freedom and abundance in our lives. But by acknowledging His sovereignty, trusting in His wisdom, and seeking His guidance in all our financial decisions, we can experience His provision and guidance every step of the way. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Proverbs 16:3. As we conclude this eye-opening journey, remember that financial freedom is not just about wealth, but about aligning our hearts with God's will. By breaking free from these 7 habits and embracing God's principles of stewardship, generosity, and trust, we can unlock the doors to true abundance and fulfillment in our lives. Let's commit to living lives that honor God in every aspect, including our finances. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. And most importantly, take action today. Reflect on these habits, seek God's guidance, and begin your journey to financial freedom. Together, let's build a community that thrives in faith, stewardship, and abundance. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you abundantly on your journey.